Welcome to growthtofreedom.com, the show that brings you inspiration, transformation, and leadership. We're helping you connect the dots, see the blind spots, and get unstuck so you can go out there and create more sales, create more growth, create more profitability. More importantly, so you can have a bigger impact, have a bigger reach, and make a bigger contribution. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you find yourself a little bit stuck? Maybe you've hit a wall. Maybe you feel like you're invisible to a degree. Something's getting in the way, a block of some kind. Well, if so, then you are going to love today's guest expert. He's uniquely qualified to talk about this topic. His name is Noah St. John. We've known each other for many years, actually well over a decade. He's known as the Power Habits Mentor. He's famous for helping entrepreneurs just like you, right, be able to get rid of head trash and actually make more money. Because what if, like, by simply getting unblocked, becoming unstoppable, getting rid of your head trash, you could go out there and double, triple, quadruple your potential. Would that be exciting to you? If so, you are going to love today's episode. And by the way, you're going to want to grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, jot down some notes. If you're driving, pull over right now. If you're on the treadmill, get off. No, I'm kidding to a degree. You'll want to come back to this episode and grab those notes. And they'll all be available for you here at growthtofreedom.com/289. That's growthtofreedom.com/289. If you never want to miss an episode, you can go to growthtofreedom.com/subscribe. Now, what else can I tell you about Noah? He's also the only best-selling author that has worked with publishers like Hay House, HarperCollins, Simon & Schuster, Mind Valley, Nightingale Conant, and the Chicken Soup for the Soul publishers, right? How exciting is that? He's also been a frequent guest out in the marketplace. So Noah, welcome to the show. How are you, bud?
Great, Dan. Great to be here with you today.
Awesome. Well, I want to dive right into it. You've got a best-selling book, Get Rid of Your Head Trash, right? Like, why this book, why this topic, and why now?
Well, actually, the full title is Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money, specifically, yes. Because, of course, we all have lots of head trash, or most human beings do. But Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money. And the subtitle is How to Avoid the 3 Big Money Mistakes Even Smart People Make. And, of course, I know everyone listening to this program and watching this is very smart. But nevertheless, I've had the opportunity to interview over 200 multimillionaires, millionaires, the thought leaders of the industry. And, these are, the top people. And what I realized is that the world's most successful people often can't actually tell you how they got there. And the reason for that is because they are what I call unconsciously competent at allowing themselves to succeed. And so what I realized, and as you mentioned, I've been doing this work for over 2 decades now. I started my company, successclinic.com, in my college dorm room in 1997 with $800 in a book on HTML. So yes, I've done it all and seen it all, spent a lot of money, made a lot of mistakes, trusted a lot of the wrong people, got a lot of bad advice, but over the last 2 decades, even with all of those challenges, we've helped our coaching clients add over $2.7 billion collectively in sales, meaning we've helped people add multiple 6 and 7 and yes, even 8 figures to their business. And one of the ways that we do that is by helping entrepreneurs to really identify and then remove what I call their head trash. So really a lot of entrepreneurs are buying this book, not just for themselves, but they're also buying it in bulk for their teams because last time I checked, most human beings are holding themselves back in some way. And it's really, really a helpful tool to be able to, as you mentioned, get unstuck and really have the better results in your life, your relationships, your health, your wellness, as well as your business.
And speaking of that, Noah, one thing that I want to maybe dive to a little bit in a unique way, can you remember a time when you were younger in your early years of business, right, where maybe you hit a failure, a huge mistake, maybe your biggest mistake, maybe your biggest failure? What was the head trash you were dealing with at that time? When was it? And then what did you learn from it?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've made so many mistakes, it's hard to categorize them or catalog them all. It would be a long show. But, one of the biggest mistakes that I've made over the years, and unfortunately I've made it many times, is really trusting the wrong people, what I call the gurus out there. And the gurus really are very good at self-promotion, but they suck at teaching. And that is sad, because, you know, the industry as we know it today is really dominated by, you know, people who are great self-promoters, great self-marketers. But when you know, give them money, there's no there. And that's really sad. And I trusted people, you know, because, you know, we all have, I shouldn't say all of us, but many people have, you know, it's called shiny object syndrome, right? And, you know, you see these different shiny objects and there's always a new fad, a new gimmick, a new something. Or, you know, there's a guy, you know, standing next to his sports car and his private jet, and you're like, hey, oh man, I want one of those too, right? And that's of course why they use those images, because the brain goes, ooh, I want that, right?
Right.
And so it's very seductive. And unfortunately, I got seduced by those guys and gave them lots of money, and that sucked. So, and when I say it sucked my time, it sucked my money, but even worse than that, it sucked my self-confidence. So that's, you know, one of the reasons that I share my story with people is, number one, to let folks know, you know, if you've done this, number one, you're not alone. Number two, it's not your fault. And number three, you can make a better decision. You know, there's that old story of your life in 5 chapters. And, you know, without going into the whole thing, basically, you know, you go down the road and you fall in a hole and it takes forever to get out. And finally you decide to go down a different road, you know, and that took me a long time, much longer than I would have liked. And I think for me personally, you know, my head trash, and one of the reasons that I've written 15 books about this subject, basically I've written 15 books on this one subject, which is how to get rid of your head trash, you know, about money, about health, about well-being, about relationships, whatever it might be in your life. But really is realizing that most people are saying to themselves, I can't do it. You know, I'm not good enough. And I absolutely suffered from that for most of my life. And I mean, it's not like I'm perfect or anything. Of course, you know, we all make mistakes. I still make mistakes. But, you know, you try to go down a different road and not fall in those same holes as you go through life and as you go through business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so many common things as you were describing it. I could feel the journey, and also my journey of, you know, very similar kind of scenarios, which I know we've talked about in the past. And by the way, if you want to listen to our past episode, go to growthtofreedom.com. Just type in Noah St. John. You'll get access to that episode as well as this one. They complement each other incredibly well. Noah's probably one of our, you know, most repetitive guests over the years of doing this for, you know, since 2001 or 2, which is awesome to see how you've grown and, you know, the impact that you continue to make. So let's dive into it. Our listeners, our viewers, running small businesses, they're entrepreneurs, right? We've been in the midst of like one of the greatest crises in the human history, as we know it. Like, what do you see are some of the common, you know, things that are getting most people stuck, or big mistakes people are making around this idea of head trash and getting stuck?
Right, absolutely. So, you know, one of the things that people are hiring me for right now is to help them to, number one, you know, get unstuck. Number two, get over the fear. And number three, and I think most importantly, is get the control back in their lives and their business. So one of the things that I've been teaching my, you know, coaching clients for many years is that fear and control work in opposition. All right. So what that means is the more control you have over your life, your career, your business, your relationships, your health, the less fear that you feel. However, the less control that you have in your life, your business, your career, your relationships, the more fear that you feel. So they just move in opposition to each other. So looking at the current situation that's going on right now, through no fault of their own, millions and millions of people, you know, lost their jobs, lost their means of income through no fault of their own. They were doing everything right. They were playing by the rules, and it's all gone. And so naturally, when that happens, your control is gone, right? You're certainly your perceived control, right? And that's a very important point. Your perceived control is like 0. And so the fear, of course, gets really high, like 100, right? So it's like, oh boy, I mean, fear, which is natural. I mean, there's no way around that. So, you know, one of the reasons that people are hiring me right now is because I'm helping people to get that control back. So the question is, well, how do you get the control? And the answer is you have to install 2 systems into your life. So what gives you control is systems. Now, the systems that I teach and that I've been helping people with for over 2 decades, and as I mentioned, you know, helping people add billions of dollars as a result, is the inner game and the outer game. All right, so the inner, or you could say the internal systems and the external systems. So the internal systems is everything that happens between your ears. All right, so again, I call that getting rid of your head trash. That's part of it, but there's more to it. It's also to do what I call installing the power habits of unconsciously successful people. I know that's kind of a mouthful, but I talk about that in my books, is about what I call the power habit system. So that's the internal system that highly successful people are doing unconsciously that they can never teach you. I know that's kind of a mouthful, but that's really why a big reason why my clients are so successful and make so much money and have so much added control and freedom is because of that internal system, which we call the power habit system. So that's the internal system, but you also have to have the external systems. Now, the external systems is all the marketing stuff, right? Everybody watching and listening to this program, I'm sure, is taking lots of marketing classes. And do you have to do marketing? Of course you do, right? But here's the thing, is that if you don't have both systems, internal and external, it's really going to be tough for you to succeed. Let me tell you a really quick story to illustrate this. I was speaking at an event in Los Angeles. This was several years ago, for a group of about 1,000 entrepreneurs. A man came up to me right after I spoke. He said, "Noah, I want to hire you as my coach. You're the coach I've been looking for." Now, I didn't know this man from Adam. Ironically, his name was Adam. And so I said, "Okay, well, what's going on?" He says, "Noah, I'm totally stuck. I'm only making $4 million a year." Now, of course, I had to laugh. I'm like, well, gee, a lot of people like to be stuck at $4 million a year. That doesn't sound like a problem. He goes, no, you don't understand. I own this company, and we grew to 4 million in revenues really fast, but we've been stuck at 4 million for the last 4 years. 4 years stuck at the same level, plateaued, flatline, right? No growth. He says, I've thrown everything at it. I've hired all the gurus. I've hired all this marketing guys. I've spent all this money, and we're still stuck. He said, as soon as I heard you speak about head trash and foot on the brake and power habits and formations and everything you just said, he said, I knew something inside me told me that you're the coach I've been looking for. So he hired me on the spot. Bottom line is that I worked with him for about 2 years. In that 1.5 to 2 year period, his company went from being stuck at 4 million for the last 4 years to over 20 million in sales. So that's like a 6 times increase in less than 2 years. So how did I do it? By what I'm saying right now. We really spent 90% of our time on internal systems, which is counterintuitive. See, everybody wants to throw more marketing. Marketing's not wrong. Marketing's great. You have to do it. But if you still have that head trash that says, well, I can't do it, and of course it's different for everybody. It's not like a cookie cutter thing. Like you can just say, well, it's that. No, everybody's different. Everybody has a unique situation. But using my power habit system, we were able to just hone right in on exactly the problem. Boom, get rid of it. 6 times increase. He was pretty happy about that.
I imagine. And would you be happy about that if that happened for you, right? Wherever you are, whether you're starting your business, whether you're a mature business, whether you're already running a mega successful company, what would it be worth to have the opportunity that what if there was some head trash just holding you back, just even a little, let alone a lot, right? Well, guess what? When we come back, we're going to take a deeper dive into how you can work on your inner game, your outer game, and how this translates to helping you grow, how to be able to have a bigger impact, a bigger reach, a bigger contribution. That and a whole lot more coming up right after this with Noah St. John. Thanks for listening to this episode of growthtofreedom.com. Are you struggling to get a steady flow of new clients every day, or maybe hit a plateau or hit a wall in growing your business? Well, let's help you solve this problem today. Let's review your business and have a conversation. You can do that for free today at breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com. In addition, if you're looking for a simple way to implement some of what we've been talking about in today's episode, then I want to encourage you to get our free small business toolkit. You can get that at activate.breakthrough3x.com. That's activate.breakthrough3x.com. If you'd like access to the special resources and all the show notes for this special episode, make sure to visit growthtofreedom.com. Welcome back to growthtofreedom.com. So no, I want to dive in, internal game, external game, right? Most people that are successful have these subconscious habits that they're not even aware of. Therefore, It makes it hard for them to even understand what they're really doing versus not doing and or teach, which is why it sounds like a lot of people struggle because they go learn from a guru and it's not really their success system or their success habits, right? And so let's dive into it. What are a couple of the common internal habits, like, if you were starting brand new, that you wish someone would have coached or guided you on to, help clear some of this head trash, to help you remove the blocks? Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things that we start with, when people hire me as a coach, is we start with exactly what I've been sharing with you, on this program, is that identifying where your head trash is, right? So like, what is it? Okay, so here, let me paint you a picture for everyone. So imagine that, here you are at home, let's say you're listening to this program in your home, and you say, you know what, I don't feel like taking out the trash this week. You know what, I just don't feel like it. I'll just leave the trash. I'll just leave it for a week. And you go, okay. And then the next week goes by, like, I don't think I want to take it out this week. I'll just leave it. And then maybe a month goes by, you don't take out the trash, maybe 2 months, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 5 years. How's your house looking right now? It's kind of gross, right? I mean, you haven't taken out the trash. I mean, it's pretty much impossible to live there, right? After 6 months, a year, 2, 5. But how many people do you know that haven't taken out the trash in their head for maybe 5, 10, 20, 30 years or more, right? Yep. And so think about that. It kind of stinks in there, if you catch my drift, right? So, and again, this is not to point fingers at people, but to just get them to identify, like Adam, that story I just shared with you of my client, he didn't know he was doing any of this, because here's the deal. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, this looks like a great day. You know what, I think I'm going to hold myself back from success today. I mean, nobody would do that, right? That sounds idiotic. It is idiot. No one would ever. So the point is, it's like, it goes back to that iceberg principle, right, of the human mind, right? About 5% of the human mind is conscious, right? Now, when you have a conscious thought, that means you can change it, right? In other words, if I'm aware of something, then I can change it. I can choose differently. However, 95% of the human brain, according to neuroscientists, is in the subconscious, right? Now, the phrase or the equivalent of the subconscious is no choice, okay? In other words, if you can't see it, how can you change it? In fact, it's funny, because one of my very first coaching clients years ago, he said to me, as we were doing this work, as we were taking out his head trash, he literally said to me, Noah, this is like you turned a light on in a room that had been dark my whole life. And when he said that, I said, that's exactly what it is. That's literally exactly, because think about this for everyone watching this and listening. So imagine the room that you're in right now. Let's say you're listening in your home or your office, and all of a sudden someone comes in and they turn all the lights off in the room. You can't see anything. And then they say to you, okay, now rearrange the furniture.
Right.
And now how successful are you going to be in that endeavor? Not very, right? Not very. Why? Because you can't see what you're doing, right? So what I do is I come in and I flick on the light switch and I go, oh, did you know that was there? And they're like, oh, well, yeah, now I can see it, right? So now you can move the couch, the chair, the coffee table, whatever, right? Because you can see it. So that's exactly what it's like with this work, because again, nobody wakes up and says, I think I'll hold myself back from success today, but it doesn't matter, because as I often like to say, it wasn't the top part of the iceberg that sunk the Titanic. It was the part they didn't see.
Right.
Right? And it's the same with us, with all of us, right? With all of us, it's the stuff that you don't see. That's what's tripping us up. So the point is that the first stage of any transformation is awareness, right? To just become aware. So that would be one of the first things that everybody do and can do. And this is, like I said, where one of the places where we start is, okay, so what is your head trash, right? So where are you holding yourself back and why? Because think about this. Here's another analogy for people to think about. Let's say you're driving in your car, right? And you want to go, let's just say, down the street to the grocery store, right? Now, you know where you're going and you know why you're going there. Because most people don't typically just get in your car and drive around in circles and come home. That would be kind of weird, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Because it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. No one would do that.
Unless you have a little baby and you're trying to have that baby.
But still, see, you still have a purpose. So you have what I call a why-to. A why-to. You have a purpose, just get the baby to sleep. So still that works. But the point is, I'm talking about just getting in your car, driving around for no reason. And you're going nowhere. See, nobody would do that in a car, but many, many people are doing that in their lives and their businesses. Not meaning to, of course. Not meaning to. So the point is that you have to understand. So this is another thing that people can do right now. Again, you asked me for what people can do. So this is another thing you can do right now, is to understand where are you going and why do you want to get there? Okay. I want to go down to the grocery store to get some milk and juice and eggs. Okay. Well, you know where you're going. You know why you're going. So what about your life? What about your career? And it sounds so simple, and it is simple, but it's not always easy, especially in these challenging times, because as I stated earlier, millions of people had the rug pulled right out from under them. And through no fault of their own, they're like, what? Oh my gosh, I lost everything. Or again, going back to that control and fear, right? So they lost the control through no fault of their own. So that's what we are doing with this work is we're installing the systems to give you that control back in your life and your business so you don't have to succumb to the fear.
And speaking of succumbing to the fear, right? I think there's, I know the work you do, the work we do, we're fortunate to work with a lot of high level, high performers, high achievers doing amazing things, 7-figure, 8-figure, 9-figure kind of businesses. On the outside, people looking in go, oh, their life must be perfect. And there's no such thing as perfect, right? Steve Sims says, the perfection is the imperfection in all of us, which is a really great thing to be thinking about. And one of the common threads we see, and I think you're alluding to it, but I'll just ask you, right? There's people who have fear of failure, right? Like doing something new, fear of the unknown. But then there's fear of success that's like this hidden underlying thing that a lot of the most successful people really deal with at a really deep level. Speak to that idea of fear of success and your take on that as it relates to head trash.
Yes, absolutely. So, going back to that story I shared with my client, Adam, that was one of the things that he was unconsciously facing. Again, so go back in your car for everyone listening, right? So if you're in your car and you're driving to your destination, right? Now imagine that you're driving to your destination, you know where you want to go, and you might even know why you want to get there.
Yep.
But imagine that you are driving, unbeknownst to you, with one foot on the brake. So you have one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. How long is it going to take you to reach your destination?
Yeah, forever.
A freaking long time, right? Meanwhile, you're using a lot of time, you're using a lot of effort, energy, and you're still spending a lot of money because you still got to put gas in the car. And you're like, why am I not getting anywhere? This is really weird. And so what the gurus do, and this is why so many people hire me after they've gone to all the gurus like Adam and many others, because the gurus say, well, listen, just step on the gas harder. What's your problem? Yep. Just step on the gas harder. Come on, get motivated, set your goals, right? And you're like, okay, I'm stepping on the gas. Why am I not going anywhere, right? And then also they might say, well, you know what you should do is just get a new set of tires. That's actually the problem is you need a new set of tires. You spend money on tires and you're still doing the same habits. You still have the same head trash, unbeknownst to you, and they don't recognize it. And so you're like, okay, well, the tires didn't do anything. And they say, you know what? I know, just get a new car. Just buy a new car. The car isn't right. That's it. So you spend tens of thousands of dollars, get a new car. You're still doing the same habits. So what I do is I come up to you and I say, by the way, did you know you have one foot on the brake? And you're like, no. And then I say, do you know that if you just do a couple simple things and actually stop doing some things, that you can just get your foot off the brake? And you go, really? And I go, yeah. And that means you're going to reach your goals a lot faster and easier with a lot less time, money, and effort. You're like, that sounds good. And see, that's really what it's like. So unbeknownst to millions of people, they are unconsciously, unknowingly, and unwittingly driving down the road of life with one foot on the brake. Okay. And so that means that, speaking to what you were just talking about, the fear of success and the fear of failure. So it's like, what if I get it? So I often call this the Robin Williams syndrome. Okay, we all, of course, know and love Robin Williams. I think most human beings that you talk to are fans of the man because he was a comic genius. He was a genius. I mean, I don't think that's arguable. And of course, he killed himself, in 2014, very sadly, very, tragically. And you go, how's that even possible? He had everything that we humans want, right? He was rich and famous. He had lots of money. He had fame. He had a happy family anyway, or it certainly seemed to be from the outside. But, he took his own life. And that's certainly not the only example of that, right? We can think of many examples, like going back to Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe, but I mean, River Phoenix and Chris Farley and John Belushi and on and on and on and on. So how does that happen? Exactly what I'm talking about right now is that, you have the foot on the gas, which is I want to reach my goals, but at the same time, you unknowingly, unconsciously have your foot on the brake, which is, ooh, what if I actually get it? And that, of course, creates you know, the fight within yourself. Really, it's like you're fighting yourself. Hence, foot on the brake, foot on the gas, and that's what we want to avoid.
And as you're listening or watching right now, like, how would it shift the game for you if instead of friction of you fighting your subconscious beliefs with the conscious actions you're taking, that you can get those in alignment? How to transform your business, how to transform your life, your health, and a whole lot more. Like, what would it do for you? Like, imagine being able to have the freedom, right? They have the ability to create massive momentum. It'd be like a race car that has the ability to go 200 miles an hour and actually could. And you didn't spend much time in the pit stops, so to speak, except to continuously tune up the car, which is helping stay unstuck and also get rid of the head trash. Like, what would that do for you? What would it mean to you, right? Now, Noah, as we kind of wind down here just a little bit, like, what would be 1 to 3 action steps that you hope our viewers, our listeners would take as a result of our time together today?
Yes, absolutely. So really going back to what I was just saying. So number 1 is an action step you can all do right now is write down where you feel your head trash is right now. And by the way, specifically when I teach head trash, and I talk about this in the book, is head trash, the way that I teach it is the voice in your head that says, I can't do it because, okay, ... And then you just fill in the blank, right? Well, Noah, I want to double and triple my business like your clients do. I want to publish books like you have. I want to grow my business. I want to have sales funnels, online funnels. I want to grow my business. Even in these challenging times like your clients are, but I can't do it because. See, and whatever you say after the word because is what you believe and will defend to the death. That's what's so ironic about us humans is we have an infinite capacity to make ourselves right.
Yes.
Right. And so, the point is that what's so hard is to understand that this is one area where you don't want to be right. Will Rogers had a great quote, which I love to share with people, whether I'm speaking on virtual stages or live events or doing private workshops or with my one-on-one coaching clients. And Will Rogers said, it ain't what a man don't know that gets him in trouble. It's what he knows that ain't so. See, so how many things do you know that ain't so, right? Like, I can't do it. Well, no, you don't understand. I can't do it because I'm divorced. I can't do it because I lost my job. I can't do it because I don't have the time, because it's not the right time, because I don't have the money. Whatever your excuse is, you're going to make that true. And the reason that you do that is because, as I just stated, we humans have an infinite capacity to make ourselves right. So this is one area, friends, where you don't want to be right. Telling yourself you can't do something, why would you want to be right about that? You don't. Okay. But again, it's safe and comfortable, but that is exactly why we have to fight it.
And are you willing to take up that fight for your bigger future, for you, for your business, for your family, for your health? What would it be worth for you? Right. It's far more important. Because, like, what if you're leaning the ladder on the wrong wall? There's nothing worse than that, right? So you can be right, or you can focus on getting it right. And what if by getting unstuck, right, putting yourself in a place where you can connect the dots and get in alignment with your subconscious and your conscious behavior, like, how would it change the game for you? Now, Noah, we've covered a lot in a short period of time. Like, if people want to go deeper with the concepts you're sharing about, getting rid of head trash and making more money and transforming their life and getting this transformation you're alluding to and talking about, where can people go to connect with you, to go deeper, to learn more about what you're up to?
Yes, absolutely. So because you're watching this or listening to this program right now, you can actually get my book free, Get Rid of Your Head Trash About Money, at all you have to do is go to sendmeabooknoah.com. Very easy to remember. Sendmeabooknoah.com. And I will do that. I will send you a book. So sendmeabooknoah.com, and we just ask you to cover the shipping. And then if you want to go to my main website, that's noahstjohn.com. That's my name, NOAHSTJOHN, Noah St. John. And if you want to book me to either be, teach on your workshop or your virtual event or live events, that's booknoah.com. Just, again, all very easy to remember. Booknoah.com is for my speaking, and sendmeabook untitled.noah.com is to get the book.
So if you want to take the first step to clear your head trash, to get unstuck for you, for your team, for others, go to sendmeabooknoah.com. That's sendmeabooknoah.com. You want to learn more about all the amazing resources Noah's had for over a couple decades. Go to Noah St. John. You'll get a glance at what he's up to, how he helps people, maybe just like you. And if you're looking for a speaker, you're looking to have someone as a guest on your platform, if you have one, you can go to booknoah.com. And oh, by the way, all these resources will be listed on the site, all the show notes from this episode, the quotes from this episode. You can come back to growthtofreedom.com/289. That's growthtofreedom.com/289. Again, if you never want to miss an episode, go to growthtofreedom.com/subscribe. Now, Noah, what's one thing I should have asked you that we didn't get a chance to cover yet?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I thought you asked great questions, Dan. You always do. So I can't think of anything. I think we gave your listeners and your viewers a really good roadmap of next steps, because you know what? It is all about action, isn't it? It's all about implementation, because information is not enough. It has to be implemented. We have to take action in order to get those results. So I think we've given people a really good roadmap here to get started and start to get rid of their head trash. And of course, the next actions that they can take. So I think we did great.
And what actions are you going to take as you're listening? And I challenge you to really think about this. Number one, what would happen if you lifted your awareness around, identifying your head trash, right? And then going deeper and going, okay, where and why am I doing what I'm doing, right? And then going deeper to go, hey, I can't do whatever your goal is because, and then fill in the blank and just get a list. And the first progress starts by telling the truth, which I think is an AA quote or from Dan Sullivan or both. I'm not sure. But the bottom line is it starts with identifying, lifting the awareness. Awareness determines the difference between right and wrong. Awareness determines the difference between poverty and wealth. Awareness, when you lift the awareness of people, you can do amazing things. And you can take the first step today by going to sendmeabooknoah.com. That's sendmeabooknoah.com. Visit the site at noahstjohn.com. Now, I want to shift to a couple personal things. You've been married for 9 years, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And if you're going to turn to your spouse today and say, hey, hon, I'm incredibly grateful for fill in the blank.
I say this to her every day anyway, so I don't have to guess. I'm just incredibly grateful that she is so loving. She's the most loving person that I've ever met. And I'm very happy that I married her because, she just shows every day what it's like to be a loving person. And I learn so much from her every day. So that's what I do say. Not only would I say it, I do say it.
Awesome. And let me ask you this. What would you say to your spouse? What would you say to her and how she shows up to allow you to be your best you every single day?
Well, she's also the director of my client success director, meaning that, when clients hire me or, we have customers, she helps them to make sure everything does get implemented, make sure they have checklists and the roadmap to move forward. Because as I stated a moment ago, it's all about implementation and action. Information is not enough. So of course, we have to give them information and steps to do. But Babette is really great at helping people to get that implemented and frankly, to believe in themselves. Because I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that most people do have is they just don't think they can do it. And, we're here to say you can do it. And listen, I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. So, I had to crawl out of poverty with none of these tools, none of this information, and certainly no support. I mean, I was at the age of 25, I decided to commit suicide because I was so depressed and didn't see any way out. So the fact that I'm still here all these years later is somewhat of a miracle that I didn't take my own life. And so, every day I remember that. I do focus on my why too of, as you mentioned, having that impact, having that influence, and yes, making a good income from helping others to become their best selves. And so it really is an honor to do the work that we get to do every day. And I take it very seriously, and I never, ever take it for granted. I'm very, very grateful for the opportunities that I've been blessed with.
Blessed and blessed and blessed. We're all blessed, aren't we? if you want to go deeper with what Noah's been sharing with you, again, go to sendmeabooknoah.com, noahstjohn.com. Come back to this episode, re-listen, share it with someone you care about. It can change, even change one other person's life. Would it be worth it? It would, right? Noah, you talked about, your upbringing, which we have similar journeys, except I grew up in a poor neighborhood instead of, around other wealthy people. And for me, it was about, getting out and
Right.
moving, right. And moving my family and all that sort of thing. Can you remember your earliest, childhood inspiration of when you were like, I'm going to make a move. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to take whatever that was, whatever you'd call it. Can you recall it?
Well, actually, it's really funny.
Listeners?
It's funny because my dad was a subscriber for years to Success Magazine. And so for many, many years, I had a dream of actually being in Success Magazine. Well, lo and behold, just this past month, they actually asked me to have to tell my story. It says my story right here in Success Magazine, with Jay Shetty on the cover, which is an amazing honor because this magazine literally was my inspiration growing up. And so to actually be in this magazine all these years later is kind of surreal and pretty amazing. But yeah, it was funny to grow up poor in a rich neighborhood because even though my family was dirt poor, and I mean that literally because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure. So, as my father was reading all these Success magazines, he was never actually able to do it. And so there were just some things missing in him, and I'm certainly not putting him down or speaking out of school. We talk about this all the time. He and I, we have a very close relationship today. But my point is that, and he would admit this. So the point is that, he really didn't have these elements in place because, again, there was no knowledge of this really, except, by the 1%, if you will. And so that's why, I had to leave that situation in order to, because I saw right down the street, I'm like, well, there's another way to live. Why do we have to live in poverty when these people seem to be doing really well? I don't get it. And so that really was what started my journey to doing what I'm blessed to be able to do today, having published 15 books in 18 languages and, being the only author in history to be published by all those publishers you mentioned earlier. So, but it really, again, it comes down to the impact that we're able to have, helping our clients add 6, 7, 8 figures to their business while working less and being able to spend more time with their families. So, we've helped people get through the dot-com burst of the 90s, after 9/11, the financial crisis of 2008, and, now with everything that's going on today. So these are unprecedented times, certainly, but I strongly believe, just because we've got so much data on this and so much experience, is that it really always comes down to those systems that I talked about on this program. So, for everyone listening, make sure you install those systems, whatever you do, because you've got to get that control back so that you don't give into that fear.
And if you'd like to take some steps to help you with that, take the first step by going to sendmeabooknoah.com. Go check out his site at noahstjohn.com. You won't be disappointed. You won't. We've known each other a long time. He's a gift to all of us. He can help you solve some of these challenges. And here's the deal. It doesn't matter where you're at today, good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter where you've been, good, bad, or indifferent. It just matters where you want to go. You can take a couple steps by applying what we've shared with you today. Identify where you're at. Identify the awareness level of what you're dealing with. Where is the head trash? Identify the where and the why of where you want to go. Understand, that you just could be operating where your foot's on the gas and on the brake at the same time. And that little pivot could transform things for you. And he's got some steps in his book to help you immediately, like today. And you can take advantage of that by going to sendmeabooknoah.com or his site. He's Noah St. John. I encourage you, take action with what we've shared with you. Ideas are wonderful, except it becomes cheap entertainment when we don't apply it. And I don't want to see that happen. You don't risk making the mistake that most people will make, which is doing nothing. If you do nothing, what will you get? You will get nothing except, I don't know, maybe a laugh from us, maybe a smile, maybe some inspiration and energy because we're pretty fired up kind of people. Well, that's great. we want more for you. Do you want more for you? Well, I mean, if you don't, well, then, hey, then it's entertainment. But if you want more, then take action with this stuff. Take action. You want to even take deeper action? Go share it with someone else you care about. It can change your life. There you have it. I encourage you. Take action. Seize the day, and we'll see you next time on growthtofreedom.com. Thanks for listening to this episode of growthtofreedom.com. Are you struggling to get a steady flow of new clients every day? Or maybe hit a plateau or hit a wall in growing your business? Well, let's help you solve this problem today. Let's review your business and have a conversation. You can do that for free today at breakthroughstrategycall.com. That's breakthroughstrategycall.com. In addition, if you're looking for a simple way to implement some of what we've been talking about in today's episode, then I want to encourage you to get our free small business toolkit. You can get that at activate.breakthrough3x.com. That's activate.breakthrough3x.com. If you'd like access to the special resources and all the show notes for this special episode, make sure to visit growthtofreedom.com.